Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go! Get your shirts, get your shirts. Let's see your shirt there. That's right. Get your shirt, $25. And it goes to Love Life ALS Foundation. Glenn Love, former linebacker in the CFLs, battling ALS. As never forget, these guys put their bodies on the line for not life-changing money. So, yeah, you can DM me at Ballsy Uncut on X, Facebook, and Instagram. Or you can also... text me 306-526-7979. Got a little bit behind with the supplier got behind, so I've got some shirts going out, and then we'll get our money going to Mr. Love. You got your Army hat on there.
That's a nice hat.
Barmer's Army hat. So you're ready for war? Ready for a battle?
Well, I should probably dump it this week because it's got a little bit of green on it.
Yeah.
But, it's a nice hat.
It is a nice hat. Are you ready for battle or what?
Hell yeah.
I bought this hat.
It's old school.
I bought this hat back in the winter when I was just getting stuff for my set when I first started here. So not knowing that I'd have the draft hat ready for you when you came to have the draft here, which was kind of cool.
Right.
When O'Shea told you to drink your beer. Yeah.
Old school hat.
Yeah. O'Shea told you to drink your beer, and then camp starting in a couple of days. So this is going to be the most memorable one I had was in 2022 when I met you in Grand Forks for my 50th birthday supper, and then you proceeded to fly, and me and my buddy Ryan Robinson, family friend, we drove to Nebraska and met my brother and my cousin there, and then right after the game we took pictures. 92,000. You didn't expect to play a whole bunch, and then because of the injury you played a lot. And got in the car after and drove all the way back, didn't sleep, had an hour sleep, and called my first ever Labor Day Classic. And I thought to myself, that'll be the most memorable Labor Day Classic I'll probably ever have. And here you are, playing in a game. For me, it's going to be weird, man. Do you think our ball jerseys will be ready?
I hope so. I hope they're ready before we take off on Saturday. I'm hoping to get a nice section of blue there in Mosaic with the ball jerseys, but we'll see.
Yeah, because I got this one and I misplaced the other one. I got to find, and I'm certainly not wearing the long sleeve bomber thing I got. I tell you what, they must love our family. We're just buying the store out.
That's right. Well, we got to fit out blue now with the whole family.
Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely going to be weird. How does it feel for you? Well, listen. How does it feel for you?
It's exciting. I think. Obviously, growing up as a kid in Regina, besides the Grey Cup, this is the game that you dream of playing in, I think, right? I've been to countless Labor Day Classics, so I'd be lying if I said I wasn't, juiced up to play Sunday at Mosaic. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. I think it's obviously a big matchup. Happy we got the win in Montreal last week and built some momentum going into the second half here. And we got a chance to, just build and grow and hopefully go 1-0 this week and start flipping the script in the second half.
Yeah, so I'll talk about that in a second. But did you have a favorite Labor Day memory before this? Like, have you thought about that? Like, what?
I talked to them earlier in the year about it. I remember Nick Dembski's first touchdown as a Rough Rider. I believe that was a Labor Day Classic.
Punt return
touchdown versus the Bombers at Old Mosaic Stadium.
Yeah.
So that one kind of sticks out as a kid, I guess.
And you'd be wearing the dress, because I got you and your mom tickets because I worked the sidelines for 18 years, voice of the team for 2. So I'd get you tickets, and you would go and
front row. We're like section 23, front row. Like, it was awesome behind the visitor
bench.
To
my buddy. Thanks to our buddy Ryan Pollock for doing that. Who's the GM over at the Royal Regina. I traded him concert tickets for football tickets. So
if I'm keeping it with the Bombers, I'd say Nick Dembski's first touchdown probably was the coolest memory.
I remember one time I was in the end zone. I always had to interview the team that won. If it was the Riders, I'd get a guy right after, or the Bombers. And I was in the end zone, and Medlock was kicking a field goal. And this was like Mike O'Shea. If he wouldn't have won this, if they wouldn't have won this game, Mike O'Shea would have been fired. Like that's what they were talking about because the Bombers were on such a long, like they just weren't doing it with him. And Medlock nails the field goal. As soon as I saw it leave his foot, I started walking to the Bomber sidelines. I know I'm talking to somebody there. And then look, now it's like, 5 straight Grey Cups, winning 2. So, yeah. And it does feel like this is football, right? Like, this does feel like football. September, like, U Sports is firing up this weekend.
College football.
U.S. college. You got, so like your old team in UND. You got the Thunder. I'm calling the games on TV. NFL's coming up the following week, Thursday, Friday. So, and it really does feel like football. So, let me ask you this. Everybody says the real season starts at Labor Day. And they used to say that when it was actually the midway point, the 9-game point. But because we bumped the season up, we're already into the second half. Have you noticed the intensity ramping up this week? Would it have the same feel as an NDSU UND game?
Yeah, I think it does. I enjoy, and I think just from a fan perspective, I think this matchup should be the first time the teams see each other in the year to build up the rivalry, like, college football-esque. Yeah, I mean, I think people would be lying to you if they said this game didn't mean more. Like, I think obviously the intensity is going to be ratcheted up. It's going to be super physical. I've never played in the game myself, but I've obviously watched it as a fan and been in rivalry games like UND and NDSU. From a team perspective, I think you don't, overhype it. You want to go 1-0 every week, and this is a really good opportunity for our group to get tested versus a very good Saskatchewan team. And a chance to, get on a little bit of a roll here, hopefully going into the second half of the season. But it's a little bit different. I mean, you're pumping crowd noise in today to, Princess Auto, and you're getting ready for a raucous environment, which is going to be awesome. So I think there's obviously a difference. You don't need any extra motivation to get warmed up for this one. You're obviously going to be ready to go. So it's exciting.
You called me today. You said, Dad, I just had my worst practice in professional football. Like, it was terrible, Dad. Like, and some of it was the crowd noise, right? That threw you off with that crowd noise.
Yeah, I think you just, you get put in different spots and situations, and you got to be able to adapt. And I'm always going to be my own hardest critic. Like,
it wasn't as bad as you thought, right?
It's thing about film and football, and I tell everybody this, and I think everybody that plays football knows this. Like, it's typically never going to be as good as you thought it was, and it's never going to be as bad as you thought it was. Like, the film rarely ever lies, and it's a great equalizer, and it's typically somewhere in between and in the middle. So you can't get too high, you can't get too low. You just gotta, ride the waves, take the good with the bad. But yeah, like, the crowd noise is obviously different, and we don't have to deal with that on defense. But when the offense, has to practice that sort of thing, it's good for the defense to get their reps in too, because the following week we're going to be back here in Winnipeg, and it's going to be jumping when we're on the field. So,
do you have a dance or something to, like, if you make a play on special teams or a really big play, are you going to do like a banjo picking, or like, you got to have something, bro? You got to have something.
I don't know. I've never been a big celebration guy, and we're big on celebrating with teammates here. So maybe me and a couple of the guys on special teams will come up with something that we can do together. So we're all doing it together, but we're not big into individual celebrations in the building.
Has anybody talked to you about going back as like you're going behind enemy lines as the enemy now, growing up there? And in fact, fun little fact here. This is your first game at Mosaic Stadium since high school, because you went to UND and you never played with the Dinos because you hurt your knee. Yeah,
I mean, it'd be fun. Played lots of games there in high school, scored a lot of touchdowns, had some great memories. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I like playing the heel, I guess you could say. Like, I think it's fun.
You don't say.
Yeah, I think it's fun to be on the other side of it. And I mean, yeah, like I told Jake Kelly today, and some of the guys, like, obviously I grew up a Rough Rider fan, but I haven't, really liked them in a couple of years already. So I'm well over, being a fan of the Rough Riders or anything like that. That's well in my childhood past. So I'm excited to be on the visitor sideline on Sunday, wearing the Bomber colors. It'll be awesome to see the blue spread across Mosaic Stadium, and hopefully you can go in there and play spoiler. I think playing spoiler and being the heel is even more fun than, being the team at home with the crowd behind you.
Has that been talked about? Like, okay, so the Riders haven't won in Winnipeg for the, now I can call it this. When I was the voice of the team, they said you can never call it the Banjo Bowl. You can't call it the Banjo Bowl. I'm like, why?
I got asked that this morning on the radio show if people hated the Banjo name, and I was like, it's just something in Saskatchewan people always bickered about and got mad about.
Well, it was Troy Westwood who came up with it, and listen, this is what this league. This league needs marketing. Yes, it needs. Like, don't ban the horns in Montreal. Don't do come on. And this is what we need. So I was like, why? This is fun. Like, come on, let's do it. Like, even Brad Wall did one earlier. Remember when it first came out? Like, come on. But anyway, so the Riders haven't won the Banjo Bowl since 2018. The Bombers won last year here in Regina. So there's a little recent template to use. Now I know it's a different team. Do you feel like this, you were pretty pumped after that Montreal game. Do you feel like this team is gaining momentum now?
Yeah, I think the Montreal game, it was a gutsy, gritty win.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of receivers go down. Strevler steps in there for a whole half and is playing receiver, running corner routes and, blocking behind the line of scrimmage, digging out the end. Like, nobody else in the league could do that, in my opinion, or across pro football for that matter. So just there was stuff like that went on in the game, and guys showed a lot of toughness and resilience. And I think it was just an important win for our group to go on the road and win a game we feel like we really wanted to and needed to have. And I think that builds momentum going into the second half of the season here, and you need those wins to galvanize the group. And I don't know. We felt, good after that win, and that's obviously well in the past now on a long week here. And we're just talking about trying to go 1-0, go on these 1-game runs every week and not look at it any more than that.
Brady Oliveira is you get to see it firsthand, man. That guy, what makes that guy special other than what we see? Like, he's a bowling ball. Yeah. He's hard to bring down. Like, what makes him special? Because he's the only back in the CFL that the offense goes through. Like, the offense goes through him.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's the work he puts in behind the scenes, and he does treat his body like a temple, and he's putting in the extra work, and he's always on the trainer table, getting ahead of soreness and stuff. I think it's just seeing the way he treats himself like a true pro. In the short time that I've been able to see it so far. So that's what I've noticed more than anything on the field. Obviously on the field, I think this year more than anything, he's showing how good he is out of the backfield too, catching the ball. There's been numerous times he's catching the ball one-handed, and then he's the type of running back that he's always going to get north. We talk about that in the film room. He's always going to get north, and he's going to put it on somebody. If they're coming downhill to try to bring him down, that guy's going to feel it just as much as Brady feels it. Mm. I think that wears a team down over the course of a game and a season if your back's doing that. And he talked to me earlier in the year too. Just, he's like, a lot of backs are good early in the year when their bodies are feeling good, but he's like, I pride myself on, being that guy when I'm not feeling good. There's always typically something bugging me, but I pride myself on being able to perform when I'm not feeling 100%. And I think that's what separates him from a lot of other guys in the league that get dinged up here and there.
AJ Ouellette's having a good year. He dropped some weight. He's another guy that plays that way. It's got to piss a defensive back off, or a defense off in general, when you go to tackle the guy, him or Brady, and they fall forward for 2-3 yards. That's just, you got him at the 22, but he falls to the 19 or the 18.
Well, and it's big in the CFL too, right? Because you throw a pass underneath to those guys. Maybe you think you got him stopped short for, it's going to be 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4. They fall forward for 2 yards. All of a sudden now it's 3rd and 1, 1.5. Well, CFL teams are going for that all day long. So drives get extended. I think the biggest thing is, gang tackling, get hats to the football. It's tough for, one guy, specifically a DB, to bring a guy like that down without him falling forward for a couple extra yards. So I think it's just, being sound and getting guys running to the football and a lot of hats to the ball.
Mm-hmm. Your roommate, Joey Corcoran, I had to get into it on Twitter with some people. They were kind of on him after 10 games. I'm like, he's a rookie. Come on. he can't start in this league. Well, in fairness, he didn't start. He was backing up Nick Dembski. And I watched Nick Dembski when Nick Dembski was just Nick Dembski of the Riders. And yes, he had a great punt return against the Riders in a Labor Day game. But Nick Dembski wasn't Nick Dembski when he started either. So, how do you guys do you as young guys block that out? Your roommates, do you talk about it? Like, what did you think when you saw some of that stuff?
I think you talk like as roommates and guys. I think you talk about some of it, but you keep it lighthearted. And we were making some jokes about that stuff. And you come home from maybe a day of practice that wasn't your best, and you lean on guys like that. I think it's one of the values in living with guys when you're a younger dude. And like I said earlier, there's going to be ups and downs, and I think it's just riding the wave of pro football and professional sports. The other team gets paid too. Like the guys you're going against get paid too, so they're going to make their plays, and you're going to make your plays a lot of the time too. So it's just riding those things out and having each other's back and joking about a lot of things. Because at the end of the day, people can say what they want, from the couch and watching through the TV, but they're not out doing it. So it's it's just water off the back at the end of the day.
Yeah. Hey, what do you the other guys get paid too? What do you see about the other guys, the 8 and 2 Saskatchewan Roughriders, who in 2 games they got smacked around by Calgary, but you share that with them because Calgary they're athletic and physical. They beat you guys 3 games. So right now, I mean, I'm just saying it. Calgary, I think, is the best team in the West right now. But what do you see from the Riders on offense first, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, I think they're a really physical football team. They're playing really, really hard this year. Trevor Harris gets the ball out really fast. When he knows where he wants to go with the football, it's very hard to stop. He's going to take stuff, underneath, and then he's going to take his, scripted deep shots occasionally. So just being on our P's and Q's, and it's, strapping up the chin strap and getting ready to play a really, really physical opponent on Sunday. And I think we're more than capable of doing that. And I think it's good to be the quote unquote underdogs coming into a game like that. And, just trying to be a scrappy, gritty group that we were in Montreal, trying to replicate that on Sunday. And, there's going to be some good moments. There's going to be some bad moments. The crowd's going to be into it. We're going to silence the crowd at times. So it's kind of like we talked about with practice. It's just, riding the good days with the bad. And it's kind of like that in a football game, right? You want to stay even keel, play physical. And yeah, I think it's going to be a great game on Sunday.
What do you see from the Riders special teams? This is kind of weird. This is weird because I was the voice of the team. I consider myself friends with some of these guys like Brett Lothar. But Brett's struggling. You cheered for Brett Lothar. Brett Lothar came to the combine. I remember him coming to me and said, "Hey, Ethan looks pretty good." Picton said, "Ethan looks pretty good." What are you seeing from the Riders special teams? What are you seeing from Brett Lothar as an athlete? Do you sit there and go, "Holy cow, like that's not Brett Lothar"? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's all like specialists are a different breed. Even just talking to Castillo, and I think for them and talking to Serge, I think some of it's mental, like when you go through those slumps. And he was saying, I've been through slumps before, maybe not the same, yardage and range that, Brett's kind of struggling at right now. But, you think a guy like that will turn it around. I mean, he did last year and was money down, the second half of the season. It's professional sports, and, athletes go through their highs and their lows. And I think it's somehow trying to find the middle ground, and mental toughness more than anything. Everybody at this level you'd think and hope is physically tough, but it's trying to find that edge mentally to overcome some of those things. And in special teams, they're physical. What do you see?
Because let me stop you. Like they've got Dante Myers replaced McRae, who replaced Elford, and I don't know if Elford's going to be back. I'm not sure how it's going. Yeah. Because as we talked, the Riders didn't open the week with practice. You guys did. So I don't know, but do you have to scout all 3 guys? Like, what are you looking at there?
Yeah, I think you obviously scout returners, right? Like, I mean, we've played some really good guys this year. Grant, Pimbleton, the guy last year, Theis or whatever, Theis in Montreal is a really good guy too. You obviously scout those guys and you see, what they like to do, how they like to bounce the football, what lanes they look for. But at the end of the day, you're more focused on your cover net and your job, and you can cover and stop anybody if you're doing your job properly and playing within the scheme and the system. But the Rough Riders and special teams in general, I think, it's the model of their team right now. They're a very physical group. They're going to grab, they're going to hold. There's going to be some stuff that goes on in between the whistles and after the whistles in this game. And, it's just focusing on ourselves, not getting wrapped up in that extracurricular stuff. And, they're probably going to get a couple extra calls here and there because of the crowd and because of the bench. And, it's just focusing on us this week and just trying to play a physical brand of Winnipeg Blue Bomber football.
Okay, so last question. So this is your 6th game on the roster. If you do, the depth chart hasn't been released yet, but if you do make the roster this week, this is your 6th game on the roster. So that means you're getting game checks. So are you buying this? You're going to buy some steaks and bring them over to the house on Saturday night? Is that what's happening? You're going to do that this time?
I guess so. I mean, I've been... I think for the most part, I've had a pregame steak almost every week so far. So I guess I have to,
and we're not getting the
the cheap stuff.
We're getting the tenderloin. Right. We're getting the tenderloin. Okay.
CFL stands for cash flow low. Yeah, so let's not get too crazy.
Yeah. That's what it stands for. But it also stands for I don't know. I'm trying to think here. Canadian filet mignon large.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I can probably treat you because you were my ATM for many years.
That'd be nice. That would be nice. So give me a word to describe this situation. It's weird. It's really weird. This is weird. It's like I'm having an out of body experience. Now, listen,
I think it's weird. I mean, I think it's more weird for you guys and my family than anything. For me, it just feels normal. This is my team. If I had to describe a word for this weekend, for me would just be excited. Juice. I'm when I run to that tunnel, on Sunday, it's going to be exciting. At the end of the day, it's a football game, but the lead up and everything and knowing what it means and having, watched that game as a kid for so many years, it's just exciting for me. It's just the perfect setup. It's the biggest rivalry in the CFL. No other game and no other rivalry is like this one. I think that's just being honest across the league. It's exciting to be, it's just exciting to be able to be, in a spot like this and people that care about football and to be in a game like this.
So I still live in these parts. I still do a show. So I'm not going to listen, you didn't want to play for them. There's a reason why you didn't want to play for them. It has nothing to do with just a couple of people are the reason why you didn't want to play for them. That's all I'm going to say. And that's also the reason why I'm going to proudly wear Winnipeg Blue Bomber gear into the game. I still like Rider Nation. These are the 2 best fan bases in the CFL. They absolutely are. I think Winnipeg has taken the mantle as the top fan base right now. It's the loudest place to watch a game. They care about the team, but you can't discount the Rough Rider fans because they went to that game in Calgary and turned it into a near sellout. So I'm excited. And I am, I don't know. I'm excited. I don't know. I'm excited and speechless. Actually, that's all I can. I'm excited and speechless. I'm excited, but I'm speechless. It's like I can't believe, and I'm not mad about it. I'm excited you're there. I really am. But I'm I can't believe I have a Blue Bomber shirt talking to you, getting ready for the Blue Bombers to come into town and play the Riders. I can't believe. In fact, I just listened to some old broadcasts. I listened to the 22 Labor Day. I listened to the 23 Labor Day. And I just listened to the 23 Banjo Bowl where the Riders got absolutely pummeled by your Bombers. And it's funny because I'm just I'm on the other end going, oh, this is gross. Oh, my God. I can't tell you how much I hate blue and gold. I literally said that. And now
I mean... It's one of those things. If I had a kid, I'd equate it to this. Obviously, I'm a diehard Edmonton Oilers fan, But if I had a son and he got drafted by the Calgary Flames, I'd be the biggest Calgary Flames fan, right? I'd be there with his jersey and I'd be screw the Oilers, blood, blood overrides any sort of
100%.
fandom or anything to me. So when people get on you or other people, I'm like, you, in my mind, it's like, how dumb can you be? Because if you had a kid or somebody that you love that's blood in a similar situation, you'd be the exact same way. Because I know I would be the exact same way.
Dude,
Like,
I am on my knees praying that nobody gets hurt, but that you come down and you crack whoever's returning that ball and the ball goes in the air and the Bombers have a recovery. Like that's what I'll be the first guy to jump up. I'm drinking that day too. I am drinking. I am partying.
you have no responsibilities.
I have no responsibilities. I'm not doing a post-game show till the next day after all the Labor Day games are done. So I am going, and the next day's my birthday. So you owe me a birthday touchdown. Remember when that parent, when we were coaching and he wanted me to give his son a birthday
Birthday
touchdown?
touchdown?
Yeah, can you draw my son up a birthday touchdown? Sorry, sir, that's not how it works. Ethan, I want a birthday touchdown. Can you make it happen?
I mean, let's just focus on trying to get a win this weekend, and then we can celebrate after the fact. But no,
Okay.
I'm excited. It's awesome to be, like I said on the radio show this morning that I was on. Like, it's awesome to be a Winnipeg Blue Bomber. The culture is awesome. There's no
Mhm.
spot I'd rather be, and I think this week just exemplifies that for me. Like, I'm so excited to get to go home and represent my family's name on the back of my jersey in my hometown, and you
Yeah.
know try to get a win for the city of Winnipeg and this team right now. So it's just it's exciting, and I think this weekend is just gonna be awesome. However it plays out.
Well, I've paid, my family and friends, our family and friends have paid enough. They've paid for your flight and your participation fee in this game for the Labor Day Classic with all the money we've spent in the
Yeah,
store.
we've been buying out that store
Yeah.
every other weekend. There's been somebody buying gear or
And
jersey or something.
because you owe me steak, and because we've spent all the money in the store, you can't afford lights, and so we have to call it a day because you're fading to black. Okay.
Well, we've been talking for 30 minutes. The sun's been setting, so it's not my fault.
Okay. Talk to you later, man. See
Yeah,
you.
we
See you
go.
Saturday. I'll be
Yeah,
here after the car lot, and maybe you'll even be here cooking the steak. Maybe supper
yeah,
will be ready when I get home.
that's right. Have a good one.
See ya. You're on. The First Nation sensation, Wavell Starr. How are you, bud?
Not too bad, man. How you doing, Ballsy?
Good. We're here to talk a little wrestling with what's going on with Rampage's kid. Everybody knows they've seen it all. Before I do that, though, are you still are you still booking wrestling shows or doing wrestling shows?
I'm still booking wrestling shows, Ballsy. I've got a show coming up on Thursday here at Okanese First Nation.
Okay.
We've been running shows pretty solidly over the past number of months. We've done Papixies as well as that was Okanese, and where else did we go? We had that place there in Manitoba. Recently
Okay.
in Manitoba, Treaty 4 Manitoba. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I've had quite a number of shows that we've organized recently, and looking forward to this show that we have in Okanese on Thursday.
So help me out here. I've wrestled with you or been
Yeah,
in
man.
two events with you. Is that what we'd call an indie show? Is that an indie show?
Yeah, I consider my group. So I do spot shows. So basically,
Okay.
I do them. It's meant to be a traveling show, and it's meant to be for where you don't have TV and you don't really have these running storylines or angles. So that's sort of an old Jim Cornette model. So it's like where they don't have access to your TV, and it's just like a fresh show each and every time you go there, which is a little different than some of the models. About right, if they have TV or if they have a
Yeah.
regular venue and they're running regular, then they can run these storylines.
Okay.
Generally, our storylines wrap up within the hour and a half to 2 hours.
So Rampage's kid Raja is an MMA fighter, and I forget the guy he smoked. But would that have been an indie show? show, or like would that be what you're doing, or is that an indie? Like, is that just a one-off show somewhere?
I would say that's actually a pretty high-end indie in the sense that it's partially owned by Rikishi. The other owner is a fellow by the name of Black Pearl, and I remember I wrestled him over in Winnipeg. And it's actually pretty much it's a high-end indie, and they're affiliated, or they were anyways. They were affiliated with the WWE because they've got this new program where they affiliate with a lot of the promotions. So they were actually one of them. So they have to be at a certain quality or caliber to be on the program there with WWE. But I hear that they are no longer after this incident.
Man, okay, so that just ruined it. Was that okay? So that maybe answers the question I was going to ask you, because there's been some speculation. Is this whole thing a work? Because if it was a work, it might be the greatest work of all time.
No,
what do you think of that whole situation?
It's a train wreck. It's a train wreck. So first of all, he was a guest in the dressing room in the first place. So he was asked to be there.
Rampage's kid, you're talking.
Yes,
Okay.
he was asked to be there. Now he's doing a live stream backstage. So that right there might have stepped on some of the toes of some of the boys that have been around the locker room. So maybe some of them saw that and it might have rubbed them the wrong way. Now, what I did see was the beer can to the head. That was a challenge, honestly. Like, sure, you can call it a work because they didn't actually fight right there and stuff like that, and they explained it after. But it was still kind of bush league sketchy. Like generally, if you're gonna work backstage and there's no crowd there, there's no fans, why would you start fighting? Right? Like I can understand, like Jim Cornette used to make us kayfabe, which meant if you're in a restaurant with the heel and a baby face, you just kind of ignore each other, right? Because you're professional. You're not technically getting paid until you're in the ring, right? So by doing that, it's pretty unprofessional. It was really uncalled for. And I hear lots of really, really good things about the unfortunate fella that it happened to. But I think that's where it started things off. Well, it might have started off on the wrong foot by him being backstage and doing his live stream. Either way, there are ways to confront people about things, and sometimes the wrong approach, you step on the wrong toes, and right there you could tell that it threw off the dynamics of the energy, their relationship between the two of them. Because even once the guy was wanting to shake his hand, he wouldn't shake his hand at first because he didn't trust him, and he was kind of had the right to not trust him because that was kind of sketchy.
So my
what
question
he did.
is, should if he's gonna deck him, he should have decked him right there when he got hit in the head with the.
That's the thing. He's lucky because really, that's really when he could have taken the butt whipping, was right then when he hit the guy, and he probably, in hindsight, he probably should have just tried to square off with him right then, and they could have solved it. Instead, they tried to soften it up by saying, hey, don't worry, we're sorry that we offended you, because he was flustered. He didn't appreciate that. He wasn't on board. They said, I'll tell you what, we're sorry that that we offended you, but you can get him back. You'll get your receipt. You can do a run-in during his match. During the run-in during his match, then things went way haywire because he goes in at the time when he was supposed to go in. He picks him up and he double legs him and slams him down. It's obvious that the guy is out cold. He hit his head when he gave him that double down. He hit his head on the mat and he was just laying there out cold.
Well, he was on live stream though, ringside, telling everybody, like, they're streaming live, and he's like, I'm gonna go in and fuck this guy up. You watch. I hope he punches me because I'm gonna fuck this guy up. Like, he already knew what he was gonna do when he hit the ring.
Yeah, so that part there, you might be able to justify and say, oh, that was a work. I was just work. That was part of cutting a promo, or whatever. But when he got in the ring, he gave him more than a receipt. Like he couldn't regulate his emotions. He lost it. He marked out, and he really couldn't understand the situation he was in. He couldn't hold himself back. He didn't have the restraint. He just kept throwing punch after punch after punch. And I kind of get, like he said, well, that we'll pull you off, right? So in a sense, you're kind of like, well, are these guys going to pull me off? No one's coming yet. And you saw the thing. Nobody did anything.
Let me stop you. So let me stop you there, because I'm going to tie in what happened with us once in a minute here. But to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that's a weak locker room. Like, there's dudes better get out there and break this up. Like, what are they doing? And then what happens after they finally break the guy up? another guy comes on top and pins him for a 1, 2, 3. So that's why people are like, okay, is this actually a work? That's why I
Yeah.
asked you.
Yeah, no, that was just unprofessionalism, and people didn't know what to do. Seriously, like back in the day when people were ready to fight, if things went down, then people were ready to fight. Things happened, they didn't know what to do. The first ref was just waving his arms at, please stop, and he wasn't. The second guy came in and he pretends to hold him back, which you can't, which doesn't work for people that are really struggling to get away. So he easily disposed of him. He needed one guy to jump in and literally pull him off and had to like hold him. The guy was going to try and double leg take him down too. So he lost it. Like he was in battle mode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was bad. Okay. So let me take you to, like, this happened when I saw this happened to us. So you and I did 2 events before. We did the Chad and Ballsy party towards the end of my radio career. Well, it was about 10 years out, but yeah, at the Queensberry, which was great.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. You carried the whole thing. I dropped the people's elbow on you to win that thing, and then I smashed the cookie sheet over my boss, all right? But you and I concocted this idea with Wolf Boy where each week we would I'd put Wolf Boy through all these things. Like for one we had a pillow fight with ladies, and he was blindfolded, and then you came in and run and hit him with the cookie sheet. Then one week he's in the shower with the cookie sheet, and you come in and smoke him while he's having a shower in his house with the cookie sheet. Like, it's all this stuff. So we did this week after week. It was actually brilliantly planned by yourself. And fortunately enough, I'm such a wrestling nerd that I knew how to play along with it, right? Like, it wasn't just like a regular radio host. Like, you was like, we're going to do this and you're going to play along. So it was great. Then we had Andrew Green call into the show, and he's like, I'm going to stick up for Wolf Boy. So he's in Wolf Boy's corner. I'm in your corner. We get introduced to the German club, and I don't know. You've been in a lot of events, but for a radio promotion, man, that was a pretty hot time. We had the crowd going before. Yeah.
No, we packed them in. I've been at a lot of shows, and oftentimes when you bring in a crowd like that, you have to bring in a big name, like someone that it's a celebrity. This is just us. We're all Regina guys, right?
Yeah.
And we all we did was we just put together this angle week after week, and we perseverance. We stuck it out, right? And then all of a sudden we created the perfect storm, and that's what it takes. And like out of that, there's only one wrestler out of the 4 of us, right?
Yes, you. And so you have to carry it. We all have to. So what happens is, just to paint a picture for the folks. So Andrew Green's a rider legend, but he is signed with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is in the off season. This is about April. This is just before training camp. And so I'm ringside with Wavell. Andrew's ringside with Wolf Boy, and there's the fight. And then all of a sudden, Andrew Green turns on Wolf Boy, and all 3 of us beat him down. And people are throwing things. It was minor NWO-ish, where people were kind of throwing things in the ring, and I'm like, holy shit. Anyway, actually, sorry, I'm not in the ring. I'm outside the ring. You guys are in the ring, beating him down and celebrating, and you're the master at whipping a crowd into a frenzy.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, before I get in the ring, this guy comes from the second level, and he comes in to the ring, and he goes to shake Andrew's hand, and Andrew reaches out, and you're mortified. You're like, this isn't part of but you're kayfabing it because you don't want to break what's going on. Right. He goes to grab Andrew's hand to shake his hand, and then goes right for his knee, takes his knee out. And I'm yelling at the security guards, go in. This is not part of the show. And he's almost Raja, Jackson on this guy.
Yeah.
And you're trying to pull Andrew Green off. Like, what's going through your head when this is going on?
So it's the same thing as you, man. The security was right there, and I was looking at him, and I was going, guys, come in. They were smiling. They were smiling like, oh my God, this is a great storyline. I can't believe they did this. This is cool. But really, there's nothing good that can come out of that. We're very lucky that things happen, because the best thing that can happen, first of all, no one should ever hit the ring. Second of all, if it happens, they should expect that someone's going to be in their face. Like, you're gonna have to, you got to fight. And here's the thing. Sometimes what if the guy hits the ring and he's stronger and he can beat beat up the guys in the ring. Then what? Right? And so
Well,
like,
here's what I was thinking after it all subsided. Here's what I'm thinking. Okay,
yeah,
so this guy's a drunk. He turned out to be a liquored up
he
fan
was
that
huge.
he went on a $50 bet to do it. He runs in. Okay, so
He's
that's
big.
number one. Number two, you're a big dude. Like you're a 50-year-old man, but you would have been about in your late 30s there. You're a big dude. But Andrew Green is 300 and some pounds. So you got this guy and you got Wavell. You're supposed to be the bigger than life dude. That ruins your credibility if some
Oh, if he
fan
beats me
comes and
up.
sucker punches you. And then the other thing that kind of bothered me, my words, not yours. Nobody from the back came to help. It was
Yeah,
me.
man.
It was Wavell Starr and Michael Ball. I all 165 pounds of me push Andrew Green in the chest to get him off the dude.
That's it. You know, it's kind of the thing. It's like generations before. I think that the crews are more aware that they have to be ready to protect each other. While we're out there and we could be getting rioted on and we could have got beat up,
Yeah.
and everybody else was just down on their phones and visiting with each other and sharing stories. They didn't have a clue what was going on. There's like a riot going on upstairs. It actually spilt out into the street.
You
right?
did. You did.
Now imagine this, Ballsy. Imagine this. Imagine the trouble we would have been in if the guy. What if the guy falls on Andrew's ankle or his knee and blows out his knee,
His
and
career's over.
yeah, yeah. So there's nothing good that could happen for me or Andrew, right?
No,
Right?
nothing.
Like nothing. There's nothing good. Like what? Even let's say Andrew loses it and beats him up, he's going to get a charge, right?
Yeah.
So you beat him up and get a charge, or you get beat up and lose face.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
There's nothing good that can come of it.
Circling back to Raja here, do you think he gets charged? Do you think there's a?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he probably does. Eh?
I think he's going to get charged. I think it doesn't matter. Like it'll be interesting to say what the fella says when he the unfortunate worker that got taken the beating, the pummeling, when he regains consciousness or able to talk or communicate. I guess we'll have to see. It'll be interesting to see if he says, yeah, it was an angle. We had this all planned, or if he says, he took advantage of that. I knew he was going to tackle me, but he slammed my head into the thing and. But still, the energy of that whole thing is just rotten. Like right from like that when that confrontation that I saw, and that moment when he hits them, and then when they're looking at each other, that moment is rotten. The energy is just terrible.
Yeah,
you could say, oh, it's terrible.
Yeah,
who wants to be around that?
Yeah, it's bad. Hey, so lastly, I never got a comment from you before I let you go. Hulk Hogan dies, and he's been in up and down health for a number of years because what you guys put your bodies through. What would you say about Hulk Hogan? Growing up, liking wrestling, but then knowing the wrestling business and maybe hearing some of the stories. What would you say about Hulk Hogan?
I do mourn Hulkamania. I'm not, and I mourn Hulk Hogan. I not so much for Terry Bollea. I do have respect for Terry Bollea and compassion. Anytime anyone passes away, you have to have some sort of compassion. But I do think Terry Bollea, in the tail end of his life, there probably made some poor decisions, and it sort of impacted his image and how people thought of him, and and I guess that's not uncommon to happen, but I do, I did come to, during all that, I had to come to peace with the fact that no, it was a great way to grow up believing in Hulkamania, and I had the Hulk Hogan workout set, and watching the cartoon and watching, all of that. It was a great way to grow up, and I do mourn Hulkamania and the career of Hulk Hogan. Not so much. There's a little bit of sketchiness, or I need some time to what happened with Terry Bollea, because he certainly had some missteps in the.
Well, let's be honest. You're a great. Listen, you've been behind the scenes, more than me. You've been my former Ram teammate. Way to represent. I appreciate that. You're a really good man. Not just like in life, you're a good man. So I know you're a decent dude. But let's be honest. When you're Wavell Starr, but when you're walking to the ring with ladies and you're the First Nation sensation and you're acting like an asshole, you're acting. It's a fucked up industry, just like acting is fucked up, because when you're performing, you're not yourself per se. So, and sometimes that can bleed over into your life, and a lot of guys can't separate that stuff.
Yeah, whether or not you're being yourself, you're experiencing it. The same person
Yeah.
is like you get to experience all the energy that this character is creating.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that's why a lot of guys have problems with addictions
Yeah.
because they're unable to find any other outlet for that same type of energy exchange, and that's what happens. So they chase it doing that, and you hear lots of unfortunate stories, and you don't hear enough about the good stories, and there are a lot of great stories out there,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
dealing with a lot of dark stories just with over the past however many years. It's got to be at least 15, 20 years that this, been pretty dark hearing about a lot of the stuff, right, that we grew up watching.
Two more questions for you. So, almost lost my mic. So Hulk Hogan, though, like he was part of he was part of when it took off.
Yeah.
And then when it was kind of dying, he brought it back again with the help of others with the NWO. Like it catapulted wrestling right again. And I feel like wrestling, not the shows you put on, because it's for the love of the thing, but wrestling is at a kind of a dull stage for me again in a lot of cases.
It's really having a hard time because now the cat is out of the bag. The magicians have exposed how they do all the tricks, right? So they've got incredible athletes, but when you see them out and about, they're like you probably wouldn't know that they're superstars the same way. Like if you saw Hulk Hogan or any of those guys, Junkyard Dog, Big John Studd, Nikolai Volkov, you name them. You see those guys walking through an airport, even if you're not a wrestling fan, you would look and think, oh, is that a rock star? Is that a celebrity? Who is that? Is that a movie star? Whereas nowadays they not quite, they don't quite have that same. A lot of them are a little smaller. But in terms of the athleticism, the stuff that they can pull off now is incredible. And also the old timers, a lot of it is on intuition. These guys would never be able to remember a match with these guys because they script everything from A to Z. And a lot of the guys aren't able to navigate through that because they prefer to create it and feel it out.
The Rock Hogan WrestleMania 18 was a perfect example of that.
Perfect example. You don't need a script. You just go out there and read it, and especially if they're talented like that, and they have the image, like the way they look, their entrance. But watch both of their entrances. It makes you want to watch the match.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. That's a very good point. And by the way, I'm a kayfabe guy. I'm an old school guy. I absolutely will not watch that Netflix behind the scenes that they do with I don't know what they call it with a WWE. Do you watch it? I haven't
seen it. I haven't gotten around to it. It's just I don't know. I probably will at some point. I still haven't watched the Vince McMahon documentary.
Oh, okay.
I still have. You know what? I haven't watched the OVW one. And honestly, I started to watch that one, and they showed this one clip where it was down this hall, and I vividly remembered the hall, and it kind of started opening up a little bit too much of the good memories. But that was a different time in my life, and I was like, I've got a corporate life right now, and lots of things that I need to do, and my mind back then was a lot different. I was so focused on everything was wrestling, so it's kind of like I started to watch it, and I was like, no, maybe not right now. I've got a life to live right now.
Yeah. Okay, and that's my last question. So, what keeps you doing the small circuits at the various First Nations?
Well, obviously, first and foremost, a love for the art. Like I just love the performance of it and everything about it. And we still do the old school wrestling at my shows. It's good guy versus bad guy, and you'll see them doing a test of strength, and you'll see them making faces in the comedy spots. You don't necessarily see the tables and the Raja Jackson beatdowns or anything like that. But you see a very engaged community and the elders and the young kids having fun. So that's really the main thing that keeps me out there.
Awesome, man. Okay, so that's coming up Thursday. And
that's coming up Thursday.
How often do you do shows? Like how many do you book in a year? Do you have many more after this one?
I do them as they come in. So generally I ended up doing them, around summer or when people have, community events things like that, treaty days and other events like that. So that's when I tend to do them. This year, I bet you we probably had about 10 events, and I have a really good system because I don't have I don't have the same contacts at the ground level that I used to, and I'm not as involved. But I have a really awesome contact out of Okotoks, and it's Wetaskiwin, Vern May, Vance, Nevada, longtime indie wrestler, and he's great at pulling together a locker room and in terms of that creativity for putting together a card and stuff. So I really depend on him to really pull a lot of the wrestling stuff together. I do the outreach and the engagement with the First Nation itself to try and get things in place. And then of course I have some of the greatest wrestlers around right now. I've got the matriarch coming in.
Okay.
Yeah, Sage Morin from Saddle Lake First Nation in Alberta. She's one of the top females on the independent wrestling scene. We got her coming in, and all the best workers we always have coming through our territory.
Does my buddy Riley still wrestle for you at all?
Yes, Riley is one of my guys. Yeah, Riley can say that he's a Wavell Starr guy. Definitely, he's been on all of my shows, and he'll be on these ones as well.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Okay, and hey, you're wearing a Rams shirt. How pumped are you that they're hosting the Vanier Cup this year? We might have to get together and watch that game.
We might have to. Like I'm always a supporter of the Rams. Like I said, I wish I could be a little bit more engaged and a little bit more involved, and I try to be. But having that game here, I think, is going to be huge, and we certainly have to start making some plans to check that out. That's not that doesn't come around all the time. Oh, there you go.
Only appropriate that my kid's playing for the W now with Wavell Starr being my buddy, right? And
That's
remember
right.
I was busting your balls back in the day because you were wearing a W hoodie. You're like, it's for Wavell, it's not for Bombers. But I'm okay with that now, Wavell.
Right. The branding of Winnipeg Blue Bombers Football Club is incredible. I love the branding. I love the logo. And hey, and of course, your boy.
Yeah.
Always proud to hear of a Regina guy out there making it in the big league. So good for him.
Well, that's going to make the Labor Day. I'll tell you what, Wavell, I didn't have wearing blue and gold ball jersey to a Labor Day Classic on my life bingo card. So that'll tell you. Yeah, I might get beat up. I might get beat up at a Labor Day Classic. Think about that, bro.
Someone is going to say something for sure because I told you before, like I love the branding. I've worn I've got a Winnipeg hoodie. You wear it in Regina, someone will say something. I wore my Rider hoodie at the Red River X in Winnipeg. Someone will say something. Guaranteed, the community will get. They got to say something. You're the heel.
I am the heel. I'm the ultimate heel. That's it, buddy. Hey, I appreciate your time, man, and your friendship.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Take care, eh?